In this video, we'll be taking a look at 8 NCAAF games, and I'll break them all down with free winning picks so you can bet smarter and win bigger. But first, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get our picks the second they drop, because when the lines move, the early birds cash in. And if you want the full winning sport picks experience, head over to 𝐓𝐻𝐃𝐀𝐃.com and check out our VIP packages, or grab a free consultation with one of our professional sports consultants for the sharpest edge you'll find anywhere. That's where the real plays live. We are your bookmaker's worst nightmare. These are the games we're hammering, the ones the books can't afford you to bet. This is winning sport picks. The free picks are about to drop, and they're coming in hot. Syracuse versus Miami sets up as a tension-driven matchup where one team wants volatility and the other wants total command. Syracuse thrives when they're allowed to live in the gray area, games with long stretches of defensive grind, unpredictable flows, and opportunities to flip the field without needing explosive moments. Miami thrives on dominance by structure, a game that feels heavy, dictated, and suffocating. Syracuse wants time, patience, and accumulating pressure. Miami wants to choke out improvisation and turn this into a rhythm they completely control. The matchup becomes a battle over emotional pacing. If Syracuse drags the game into discomfort, they can hang and force Miami to prove consistency over 4 quarters. Miami's window is to assert control early and never let the environment loosen. Whichever side bends first in the middle stretch likely hands over the narrative of the game. Iowa State versus TCU brings a contrast rooted in adaptability. Iowa State tends to operate best when they force opponents into slower sequences that require decision-making at every level. Their style thrives on compressing games, turning possessions into long, deliberate battles. TCU is built for propulsion, games where momentum matters and their tempo takes over, putting pressure on defenses before they can align properly. Iowa State wants a chess match. TCU wants a track meet with structure. The early downs become critical. If Iowa State keeps TCU behind schedule or off rhythm, they tilt the entire game. If TCU gets their pace established early, the game becomes an uphill fight for Iowa State. Expect a matchup with major directional shifts depending on who dictates tempo. Missouri versus Texas A&M is a physical and psychological tug-of-war between consistency and volatility. Missouri finds their best football when the game becomes layered. Long drives, strategic adjustments, slow accumulation of advantages. Texas A&M wants the opposite, a game where they impose weight, shrink space, and push opponents into reacting rather than dictating. Missouri is most dangerous when they are able to define the script. A&M is toughest when they break the script entirely. This matchup likely hinges on possession control and field position discipline. Missouri can't afford wasted possessions. A&M can't afford defensive looseness. The team that handles the middle of the field transitions better wins the leverage game. Oregon against Iowa is a classic collision of durability versus disruption. Oregon wants flow, rhythm, tempo, a game that feels like it compounds with every possession. Iowa thrives on rigidity, resistance, and turning the field into a trench battle where every yard feels earned through friction. Oregon's advantage lies in creating sustained sequences. Iowa's comes from suppressing them. This game becomes a contest of stress tests. Can Oregon maintain pace without being thrown off rhythm by Iowa's defensive pressure? And can Iowa slow the tempo enough to keep it in their preferred environment? Expect long possessions, chess match adjustments, and a struggle over which team gets to define comfort. Kansas taking on Arizona brings a dynamic matchup built around identity imposition. Kansas often succeeds when the game has elasticity with timing-based sequences and controlled unpredictability. Arizona prefers sharper, more defined pacing where they can steadily apply pressure without giving the opponent room to breathe. Kansas needs to force the issue, create discomfort, force repeated adjustments, and capitalize on subtle momentum swings. Arizona needs stability, long strings of controlled possessions that slowly widen their margin. This matchup depends heavily on how each team responds to mid-game disruptions. Kansas wants to stretch the game open. Arizona wants to put a lid on it and operate efficiently. Connecticut versus Duke carries a tone of emotional composure versus structural force. Connecticut benefits when games become about grit, field position, and slow burn tension. Duke succeeds when the environment feels organized, deliberate, and under their terms. UConn needs the game to feel choppy, unstable, and relentlessly competitive in the margins. Duke needs clean pacing and long possession arcs that wear opponents down. This matchup revolves around turnover avoidance and red zone efficiency. Connecticut's path is the grind. Duke's path is the blueprint. Georgia State versus Coastal Carolina is a stylistic collision centered on leverage moments. Georgia State loves games where tempo fluctuates and opponents are forced into uncomfortable adjustments. Coastal Carolina thrives on steadiness, possessions that feel rhythmic, predictable, and suffocating in their consistency. Georgia State's best shot is injecting unpredictability, creating pockets where the game speeds up or flips suddenly. Coastal wants the opposite. Reduce noise, flatten the pace, and make every possession feel the same. The key will be which team wins the early down battle and avoids the spiral of negative momentum. Auburn against Vanderbilt takes on a tone of resilience versus control. Auburn wants a game where sudden swings matter, where momentum hits hard and sequences stack quickly. Vanderbilt thrives when the game quiets, when discipline and patience override chaos. Auburn is at their best when they drag opponents into reactive defense. Vanderbilt is strongest when they impose structured resistance and punish impatience. Expect quieter stretches followed by sudden leverage plays that define the flow of the game. Now listen to me, those are the free picks, but the one game I am unloading on tonight, the game that's going to crush your bookie's soul, that's the VIP play of the day at WSPicks.com. This is the nuke, the hammer, the max bet, the one play I've circled, the game that will bury your bookmaker 6 feet under. When it hits, and it will, your bookie is going to need a doctor, a lawyer, and maybe even a priest. If you want to ride with me on the biggest bet of the day, get to WSPicks.com right now. Here's your recap. Syracuse plus 28.5 and the over 46. Iowa State plus 7 and the under 57. Missouri plus 7 and the over 48. Iowa plus 7 and the over 41. Kansas plus 5 and the under 56.5. Connecticut plus 9 and the under 63. Georgia State plus 8 and the over 57. Auburn plus 6 and the over 45. This is Winning Sport Picks, where we don't just bet, we bury bookmakers. Smash that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays in the comments, and hammer that like button like you're hammering your bookie into the dirt. We're cashing, we're dominating, and tonight we're dancing on the grave of your bookmaker. Let's go!